All right, so let's get started. Today we're going to be learning about Bluebeam sessions. It's a very powerful tool that allows you to collaborate and communicate with your team across one document while interacting with it in one space. It makes it easy for you to assign tasks and get responses from people, as well as create markups, create record drawings, a lot of other unique functions of it as well that we'll go into. The first thing is obviously you need an active Bluebeam license to utilize or create a session. However, you can be invited to a session and not have a Bluebeam license. You'd be able to mark it up as a guest. One of the tools is on the left-hand side here is the Studio Session bar. If you click on this, this opens up all your active sessions that you have been invited to and joined. And there's also another tab here as not joined. These are sessions you've been invited to but have not joined yet. So if you get an email link, it will pop up here. But generally, all your joined sessions are here. These are all the ones that are active. The grayed out ones are ones that you have joined in but haven't used in over, I think, 90 days. If you click on it again and activate it, it will tell you it's inactive. And do you want to renew it? You can hit yes or no. If you just renew it, it just gives it another 90 days before inactivity turns it inactive again. Two important features up here is one, this little icon right here as connected. If this icon shows red, this means that you are not actively connected to the studio session and all your markups that you do are not working and not being connected into the document. They are in a holding pattern until you reconnect. At that point, it will then connect all your markups and then load them into the document. So make sure that this is always set to green and connected. Lastly is the create a session and add one here. If you get a session ID in an email, like the one I sent out in the email, you can hit join here and type in that studio ID. Generally, this is if it's an open session invitation to anyone, or if you wanted to create a new session, you can hit the plus button here and hit new session. In the session creation tab, you're just going to hit new session and give it a name. So let's just do test. And you can add any files that you want that are open in Bluebeam at the time or from your desktop, as well as giving permissions to what people can do. So can they save documents? Can they print out documents? Can they mark up documents? Generally, add documents is always default off so that you're in control of the session, but you can always turn that on and off. And then restrict attendees by email address. This is whether or not anyone can join if you give them the ID or if they have to be personally invited by an email address. Once you hit OK, it's going to create your new session here and bring a share invitation. You can type or paste emails, use your address book. You can copy the session invitation link. All of these are different ways to invite people to the session. If you have a P&H email, this is automatically linked up into our address book, so it makes it very easy to invite P&H users or employees. Any questions so far about the overall session tab plus creating a session? All right, so jumping into the Bluebeam training session here. So what the session does is it actually will show you and keep track of all markups that are ever done on a single PDF, as well as all PDFs within this session itself. On the tab here, there's three little spaces. One is who is actively inside of the session and if they are currently online or not. As you can see, it shows 3 people online and it shows that I am on this document here, while Jay Milos is on this document, and then Dave Kearney is on this document. From this tab here, you can also see all the documents that are loaded within the session, and then all the activity that has been happening within this Bluebeam session. So this keeps a running log of everything that has happened in this project. Up top here, a couple more settings. One is attendee access. You can see who's in the Bluebeam session, as well as copying the invitation and the access emails you sent, as well as adding in new people with the share button here. Additionally, there's also the settings tab. This allows you to change different settings of it, whether or not you want to add more people by email or what permissions everyone has. The biggest one is full control. This allows people to delete documents out of the Documents tab here. Allowing full control is pretty much anyone that would be allowed to delete stuff. You don't want to give this to anybody that you want to work with this drawing set. Generally, foremen, PMs will only have this, and you only want 1 or 2 people to have full control over a Bluebeam session.
Corey, I think you can only see that lock and that permissions if you created the session.
Correct. If this is only if you are owner of the session. Up top, you also have my status bar. So this is just generally for if I had set my status for reviewing, it will show you that you are actively doing a review or you completed your review. These are all internal statuses. You can type in, incomplete. It'll just show up just so the other people understand what you are doing within the session. So as for the session itself, there's a few different ways to interact with it. The first one is you would just go about doing your general markups on the sheet itself. So if I was going to come in here and provide some markups on different type of objects here, you can see on the left-hand side as I go, it's going to track every single one of my markups. And then Dave, if you want to also add some markups here. You can see Dave has added some rectangles and is working in tandem with me in the session. So we both can mark up this drawing at the same time. It will all be visible on everyone's page at that moment, as long as you are, again, connected to the session. So as soon as Dave disconnects from the session, none of these markups will be able to connect. So please, that's the biggest thing, make sure that this is always connected when you're wanting to make sure your document is being saved. Down under the drawing itself, you'll have the markups list here, which breaks down all the different markups in the entire drawing set that you are currently looking at. If I switch to the other IFC set, you can see that there's no markups for this one yet, but in the permit set, these are all the markups within this specific document. So all these markups are specific to each document. It also will tell you and timestamp who did what. So you can see that Dave Kearney did these ones, I did this one. You can sort by who does the markups. You can sort by the creation date of the markup. Additionally, you're able to click on these markups and see where they are in the entire sheet and what page they are on. Dave, if you want to go travel to a different page and put a markup there. So you can see Dave put a markup on page 2. It will automatically drag me to page 2. Within this markup list, you can also do a couple things to work with people. So let's say I needed to put in a notification here that these need to be switched to type these. Underneath this, I can alert attendees. I can choose who needs to do this or assign it to them. So I'm going to alert Dave that, hey, there's a cloud here that you need to take care of. Dave, if you want to alert me to one of your markups so I can show what that looks like on our side.
Then again,
If you can just alert me to one of your markups, so I can just show it what the notification looks
yeah.
like. As you can see, Dave alerted me to one of my markups here. I can click on it, and it will bring me directly to that markup, regardless of what page I'm on. It also will bring me to that page if I'm on a different set. So you can see the IFC here. I click on this, this brings me directly to the document on what page I need to look at. From there, you can reply. So fixed, please review. There is now a reply to this. Dave now knows that I've looked at this, that's replied to. And then the last thing you can do is actually set a status of accepted, which this keeps a very good log of all your markups, what has happened with them, who's accepted it, who's changed it, if it's rejected, canceled. So you can use this in a very informative way with your team to accept statuses and change them. You can also just copy these to a different set. So I cut this one and I paste it to the TJX set. The actual drawing set. It should keep all the information here except for the reply that Dave did. It only keeps the markup itself. Any questions on the actual markups tool itself and replying and setting statuses?
Corey, I would just remind people this, obviously you can't move other people's markups from the session. That's the whole purpose of the session.
Yep.
And never enter a document into a session prior to making any markups because you'll lock your own markups.
Correct. So if I saved this document out, actually, I'm just going to open up a whole new document real quick. Come on. Of course, it's not going to work. Of course. All right, so I have this markup here. How you can tell it's not part of the session is you can see the little whiteboard here on session documents versus this one has no session document. If you hover over the document too, it will tell you its file path. So if I put in a markup here, such as a big text box, and then I add this to the session, if I right click any open document, I can add to open session, just make sure it's the right one you're in. When I add it in here, that markup does not transfer unless it was saved. So you would lose up all your markups. This has happened a few times to some people. So what you would need to do if you wanted to save them, delete, no, is I would open up the drawing. I would create my markup. I would save it. And then you add it to the session. Once you do that, you can see that the markup is in here, but it's locked. This is part of what was uploaded as a PDF to the session. You can't change markups that have already been made before you add it to the session. So this is now locked into this PDF. Additionally, you can just delete out the PDF here. And if you do, it's going to ask you, do you want to permanently delete it? And if you want to save a local copy of it, which I usually always save a local copy. The last feature that I want to go over is following along. So a lot of the time people want to look at the same drawing and they're kind of huddled over the computer screen. And it's really difficult to kind of illustrate where you're looking at or what you're actually looking at when you're behind a couple computer screens. So one of the things that you can do is follow somebody. So I'm going to follow Dave Keeney up top here, and by hit follow attendee. What this does is it actually follows Dave's screen and follows exactly what he's doing. So Dave is trying to explain anything to me or wants to show me something specifically on a drawing. I am now actively following what Dave is doing and just looking at his screen the entire time. He can zoom in, he can highlight stuff. So using this as a leader, you're able to kind of point out exactly what you're looking at on your screen while people are looking at their phones or their tablets or other items here. And as you can see, it says I'm following Dave Kearney up top here. Additionally, I can just select all of Dave's markups or just filter just by his markups as well on all the PDFs I'm looking at. I think this is one of the bigger features that people don't know about. It's one of the ones I use a lot when we're doing collaboration with other vendors in different trades. So, and all you have to do is just scroll out or start moving around, and it will unfollow Dave or unfollow whoever you're looking at. That is generally it for the session and most of the features here.